I spent $1,200 to be my best friend's bridesmaid. Then she asked me to hide my race with a wig. I refused. Her fiancé's family lost everything. Yesterday I got a call from my buddy Lucy, 28 female, that left me speechless. For background, my name is Me, 27 female, and I have had a shaved head for about 7 years. Lucy invited me to be a bridesmaid in her impending wedding 2 months ago, and I gladly accepted. We have been friends since college, and I was thrilled to be a part of her big day. But the call I received yesterday altered everything. I grew up in a traditional Hindu household where appearances were highly valued, particularly for women. My hair was never cut from the moment I was born till I left home at the age of 18. My parents, particularly my mother, thought that a woman's hair symbolized her femininity and honor. By the age of 18, my hair had grown to my ankles and required hours of daily maintenance. I spent my childhood and adolescent years struggling with heavy, damp hair that took time to dry, painful detangling sessions, and the inability to engage in numerous activities due to my hair. The day after my 18th birthday, I left home and went into a modest flat with 2 other people. A week later, I strolled into a hairdresser and had my entire hair cut off. The stylist burst into tears while cutting it, stating she'd never seen such long and gorgeous hair before. I felt nothing but relief when the weight lifted from my head. Since then, I've kept my hair incredibly short, either a buzz cut or entirely shaved. I can't take the sensation of hair touching my neck or face anymore. The independence from needing to devote hours to hair maintenance has been liberating. My family did not speak with me for 2 years after I cropped my hair. When we finally reconciled, they continued to make comments about my rebellious phase whenever I visited, expecting me to ultimately grow my hair back. I have not visited in 3 years. All my friends, including Lucy, have only seen me with short hair or a shaved head. In the summer, I prefer to go entirely bald for comfort, which is how I appear right now. No one in my social circle has ever complained about my appearance, and many have praised how well it complements my face features. Lucy's wedding is set for August in Georgia, at a historic plantation house. When she asked me to be a bridesmaid, we talked about deep burgundy dresses, gold shoes, and professional makeup. Nothing was said about my hair. She seemed totally content with me engaging as I am. Yesterday's call altered everything. Lucy asked if I would do her a favor and wear a wig to the wedding. At first I assumed she was joking, but her uneasy laughing underlined her seriousness. She added that her future mother-in-law had seen photos of me and was concerned about how the wedding photos would look with one bald bridesmaid amid 5 others with long hair. According to Lucy, her mother-in-law urged that I damage the beauty of the images. I quickly refused. The mere thought of wearing a wig reminded me of how claustrophobic it felt to have so much hair. When I explained my reasoning, Lucy appeared saddened, but understanding. She called back an hour later, more insistently. She clarified that her future mother-in-law wanted me to wear a long blonde wig that matched the other bridesmaids. For reference, I'm of mixed ethnicity, with South Asian and African American ancestry. My natural hair when grown out is black and curly. The request grew more detailed and uncomfortable. When I asked Lucy if she or her fiancé would pay for a decent wig, which may cost hundreds of dollars, she rejected, citing wedding budget concerns. This is despite the fact that I have already paid more than $1,200 on the bridesmaid dress, shoes, plane ticket and hotel reservation for their destination wedding. I recommended wearing a decorative head wrap instead, which would be more comfortable in the Georgia July heat, but Lucy informed me that her mother-in-law had rejected this compromise. She wants me to have noticeable hair, or else I won't be able to join the wedding party. I received messages from 3 other bridesmaids last night, all of which suggested that I was difficult and selfish. They pointed out that it was only a wig, and it was her special day. One even stated that my reluctance shows that I do not cherish the friendship enough to make such a minor sacrifice. None of them understand that this is not a trivial cost for me. It asks me to briefly revert to something that represents years of control and restraint. I'm also concerned about the racial implications of asking a mixed-race woman to wear a blonde wig to match the white bridesmaids. My wedding is 6 weeks away, and I'm at a crossroads. I've already spent a lot of money to go, but I'm thinking of dropping out of the bridal party or skipping the entire event. I cherish my friendship with Lucy, but this request feels extremely personal and inappropriate. Another problem is the location itself. As someone of African American origin, I have mixed sentiments about celebrating at a plantation, but I didn't express them earlier since I believe Lucy chose it for its design and gardens more than its historical significance. I texted Lucy last night stating that I needed some time to reflect on things. She said she understands, but she hopes I will rethink since she really wants me there, and the mother-in-law is quite picky about appearances. This morning, her fiancé, Mark, 30 million, phoned me immediately, which he has never done before. He ignored my worries entirely, instead emphasizing how much his mother had contributed financially to the wedding, and how crucial it was to keep her satisfied. He stated that my inflexibility concerning hair was causing unnecessary stress during what should be a happy moment for everyone. The situation has escalated well beyond my expectations. What began as a request for a wig has led to deeper discussions about respect, cultural sensitivity, and whose comfort is important in social situations. I keep questioning myself if I am overreacting. But every time I imagine wearing the wig in the Georgia heat, standing on a plantation property and being forced to look more like everyone else, something inside me recoils. Several mutual friends have responded without being asked. Most people say I just wear the wig to keep the peace. Only one acquaintance pointed out the problematic nature of the request, particularly the blonde hair requirement. I have not determined what to do yet. Part of me wants to support my buddy on her wedding day, but another part of me believes this is a line I should not cross. The scenario has evolved from a simple celebration to a complex negotiation over identity and compliance. Am I being unreasonable by refusing to wear a wig like the other bridesmaids? Should I put Lucy's wedding vision before my own comfort and identity? Is completely backing out an overreaction, or is it necessary to maintain my boundaries? Update 1. It's been 3 weeks since my first post, and a lot has happened. Thank you to everyone who responded and shared their thoughts. Reading through your replies made me know that I wasn't overreacting, which gave me the confidence to face what came next. A few days after posting, I decided to contact Lucy directly. Instead of continuing our text exchanges, we needed to have a real conversation about this issue. She agreed, and we set up a video call for the evening after she ended work. The call offered information that fundamentally altered my perception of the situation. Lucy broke down almost immediately, acknowledging that the wig request had not come from her at all. Her future mother-in-law, Eleanor, 56F, saw my photo in the bridesmaid group chat and immediately objected to my appearance. According to Lucy, Eleanor spent the entire dinner talking about how I would spoil the wedding aesthetic and divert attention away from the bride with my extreme appearance. Instead of supporting me, or at least resolving the situation, Mark sided with his mother. He informed Lucy that because Eleanor was donating a large percentage of their wedding expenses, they needed to meet her demands. Lucy stated that she felt torn between her friendship with me and the pressure from her prospective in-laws. The most telling portion of our talk was when Lucy revealed that Eleanor had specifically stated that she did not want diverse-looking people featured in the wedding photos, allegedly because they would not match the traditional aesthetic of the plantation setting. The blonde wig desire was not solely about hair length. It was also an attempt to minimize my racial traits. I sat in startled silence as Lucy continued to explain. She apologized profusely, admitting that she was wrong to send along Eleanor's request rather than standing up to her. She confessed that she had been crying every day about the situation, torn between keeping peace with her future in-laws and doing what was right for her buddy. When I asked Lucy why Mark had called me personally, she appeared astonished. She had no idea about the phone call, implying that he had taken it upon himself to put pressure on me without her knowledge. This renewed concerns about their relationship dynamics. After analyzing all of this information, I informed Lucy that I needed a few days to consider. The argument over a wig had escalated into a discussion about unhealthy racial attitudes and interpersonal patterns. 2 days later, I received an extensive email from Eleanor herself. She had reportedly demanded my contact information from Lucy. The email was arrogant and deceptive, implying that my unique choices reflected a desire for attention that was unsuitable for someone else's wedding. She offered to buy a wig for me, but only in a tasteful blonde style that would not stick out. She concluded the email by stating that if I genuinely cared about Lucy, I would make this minor concession, or withdraw from the bridal party. I sent the email to Lucy without remark. She contacted me 30 minutes later, horrified. She hadn't expected Eleanor to approach me directly, and was humiliated by the contents of the email. During this call, Lucy appeared to discover a solution. She said she was done appeasing Eleanor and would talk to Mark about setting limits with his mother. The following development happened a week later. Lucy and Mark had supposedly engaged in multiple heated debates regarding the subject. Mark finally admitted that his mother's behavior was improper, despite his initial attempts to downplay the racial implications of her requests. According to Lucy, he realized the problem when she questioned how he would react if someone requested his sister, who has a prominent birthmark, to cover it up for aesthetic reasons. Lucy immediately notified Eleanor that the wig request had been cancelled, and that I would be attending the wedding as myself. Eleanor supposedly retaliated by threatening to remove her financial support for the wedding. This prompted another round of family conversations. Lucy contacted me yesterday to update me on the final decision. She and Mark have considerably reduced their wedding plans. Instead of the plantation site and expensive celebration, they're arranging a smaller ceremony in a nearby park for just close friends and family. They've opted to fund it totally on their own to eliminate Eleanor's financial leverage. Lucy apologized again for not standing up to Eleanor sooner and for placing me in such a difficult situation. She underlined that she appreciates our connection, and would never have let Eleanor's views dictate how her friends should appear at her wedding. I've consented to stay a bridesmaid, and the new arrangements are much more suitable for me. The park venue alleviates my unease with the plantation backdrop, and the smaller scale means less stress and money for everyone involved. Mark wrote me a separate apology text, admitting that he should have encouraged Lucy to stand up to his mother from the outset. He revealed that he has struggled with setting limits with Eleanor his entire life, and is currently undergoing private treatment to resolve these issues before the wedding. The other bridesmaids were divided in their reactions. 2 people have expressed support for the venue change, and apologized for pressing me over the wig. The others appear dissatisfied with the decrease in wedding preparations, and have become increasingly aloof in the group discussion. I am cautiously optimistic about how things have turned out. While the circumstance highlighted some troubling attitudes, it also allowed Lucy and Mark to set essential limits before starting their marriage. The incident has actually strengthened my friendship with Lucy, as we have had several open discussions about race, boundaries, and sticking up for what is right, even when it is difficult. The wedding is now 5 weeks away, and instead of dreading it, I'm excited to celebrate with my friend, in an environment where everyone feels safe being themselves. Update 2. The wedding took place last weekend, and I wanted to share an update on how things went. The wedding in the park ended up nicely, despite some last-minute difficulty. Lucy and Mark remained committed to a modest, self-funded wedding in the weeks building up to the big day. They sent out new invitations explaining the venue change, but did not go into depth about why. Most visitors were accepting, but some of Mark's extended family were disappointed that the plantation venue had been cancelled. Eleanor's behavior worsened as the wedding approached. According to Lucy, she tried to reserve the original plantation destination behind their backs, claiming it would be a wedding gift. When they declined, she unexpectedly showed up at their flat, bringing brochures for blonde wigs she had collected, just in case I changed my mind. Lucy remained firm and asked her to leave. 3 days before the wedding, Eleanor made one more attempt to manage the situation. She approached the other bridesmaids personally, requesting that they all wear wigs in solidarity with me, claiming it was a surprise Lucy had planned. Fortunately, one bridesmaid thought to check with Lucy, exposing Eleanor's trickery. Lucy then had to phone each bridesmaid to confirm that there was no wig plan, and apologize for her future mother-in-law's intervention. The morning of the wedding arrived with wonderful weather. Lucy and Mark chose a park with a full blooming rose garden, providing a natural adornment that was more stunning than anything artificial. The ceremony was set to begin at 11 a.m., followed by an informal lunch reception at a neighboring restaurant. At 9 a.m., while the bridal party was getting ready at Lucy's apartment, we learned that Eleanor had arrived at the park early, and was putting up decorations that had not been planned or permitted. Mark quickly left to deal with the situation, returning 30 minutes later looking fatigued, but determined. He stated that he had requested his mother to remove her decorations and had assigned his brother to make sure she did not make any additional adjustments. By 10:30, we had arrived at the park and found everything in order. Lucy and Mark's basic white chairs, floral arch, and runner were all nicely arranged. Eleanor sat in the front row with Mark's father, her face taut but controlled. The ceremony itself was beautiful and personal. Lucy looked stunning in a simpler dress than her original pick, but one that fit the occasion well. Mark's eyes flooded with tears as she walked down the aisle. Their vows included agreements to support one another's decisions and stand together in the face of external pressures, which seemed especially relevant in light of recent events. Throughout the reception, Eleanor kept a frigid distance from me and interacted only little with Lucy. She departed early, citing a headache. Her departure seemed to reduce tension in the room, and the celebration became considerably more relaxed as a result. The most memorable moment for me came when Lucy's father remarked in his toast that he values loyal friends who stick to their ideals in his daughter's life. He made eye contact with me as he spoke, and Lucy subsequently confirmed that he was referring to my refusal to compromise my identity for the sake of appearances. Mark's behavior throughout the day reflected progress from our previous contacts. He remained focused on Lucy's requirements, checked in with the wedding party on a regular basis to ensure everyone's comfort, and firmly redirected his mother when she began making passive-aggressive comments about the venue change. It was evident that he had made efforts to put his relationship with Lucy over pleasing his mother. The wedding photos were taken by a friend with professional experience, rather than the high-end photography studio that had been engaged. The preliminary images shared in our group conversation yesterday portrayed true excitement and jubilation. My shaved head stood out in the bridal party images, but in the same way that any natural difference would, as part of Lucy's true portrayal of her chosen pals. Following the reception, numerous attendees commented on how personal and meaningful the event felt, in comparison to more lavish weddings they had seen. The amended plans resulted in a day centered on the couple's devotion, rather than costly details, or matching others' expectations. Lucy approached me before they departed for their honeymoon, which had been changed from a European trip to a weekend at a lakeside cabin. She thanked me for staying firm. She recognized that the process of arranging and redoing the wedding had revealed key facts about her relationship with Mark and his family, which needed to be addressed before marriage, rather than after. Mark's final encounter with me included a handshake and a polite acknowledgement. "You helped us have the wedding we should have planned from the start." The incident confirmed my conviction that maintaining personal limits does not make someone difficult or selfish. Sometimes it provides an opportunity for everyone involved to realign with their actual ideals, rather than external expectations. Update 3. It's been 6 months since Lucy and Mark's wedding, and so much has changed that I'd like to deliver a last report. The effects of the wedding predicament lingered long after the event had ended. Lucy and Mark returned from their honeymoon weekend looking relaxed and joyful. They settled into their new apartment and began their marriage with what appeared to be a firmer foundation than before. They set clear boundaries with Eleanor, including limited visits and advance warning before any interaction. For roughly 2 months, this technique worked fairly effectively. Eleanor maintained a frigid courtesy toward Lucy, and avoided making direct contact with me at the occasional group gatherings that were held. Mark maintained the boundaries they had established and stood by Lucy when his mother made passive-aggressive comments about the wedding. However, in November, the situation quickly deteriorated. Eleanor began arriving at their flat unexpectedly, frequently bearing housekeeping things they needed, or meals she had prepared. These visits typically featured compliments on Lucy's housekeeping or cooking abilities. When Mark attempted to reaffirm their boundaries regarding early notice, Eleanor claimed she was simply being a helpful mother, and accused Lucy of turning her son against her. The breaking point occurred during Thanksgiving. Lucy and Mark had decided to split their trip, spending the afternoon with his family and the evening with hers. When they got at Eleanor's house, they discovered she had invited Mark's ex-girlfriend, claiming she didn't want her to be alone during the holidays. Throughout the lunch, Eleanor made numerous favorable comparisons to Lucy, highlighting the ex's traditional feminine beauty and family-oriented ideals. Mark had finally reached his limit. According to Lucy, he stood up mid-meal, urged her to pack her belongings, and said that they were going. Before leaving, he informed his mother that her behavior was unacceptable, and that they would not communicate until she could respect his marriage and wife. They spent the rest of Thanksgiving with Lucy's family, who greeted them cordially, despite the last-minute adjustment. Mark frequently apologized to Lucy for his mother's actions, and for not setting stricter limits sooner. In the weeks that followed, Eleanor increased her efforts to contact them. She called frequently, sent long emails, and even contacted Mark's employer. When these attempts failed, she began contacting their acquaintances, including me, expressing worry for Mark's well-being, and implying that Lucy was isolating him from his family. Mark and Lucy decided to temporarily restrict Eleanor's phone number and email address. Following consultation with a family therapist, they gave his father contact information in case of an emergency, but kept their distance from Eleanor. Lucy contacted me last month to give some important news. She and Mark have decided to go to another state for a fresh start away from Eleanor's influence. Mark accepted a job offer with his company's branch office in Colorado, and they plan to relocate next month. Lucy has already acquired a remote role with her present workplace, making the transfer more manageable professionally. The decision to move was not taken lightly. They had several meetings with their therapist, exploring if moving was avoiding or treating the problem. Finally, they decided that geographical distance would provide the necessary space to build good patterns in their marriage, without continual interference. Throughout these trials, my bond with Lucy has become stronger. We have weekly video chats, and she has been more candid about her challenges and accomplishments than ever before. She recently stated that sticking up for me in the wig scenario gave her the confidence to set other important boundaries in her life. Mark and I have also built a polite friendship. He messaged me last week, thanking me for providing the catalyst that helped him see problematic patterns in his connection with his mother. He admitted that if he had insisted I wear a wig as his mother had asked, it would have created a precedent for enabling her inappropriate control over their lives to continue unabated. The other bridesmaids have had varying reactions to the current predicament. 2 are still good friends with Lucy and have been supportive of the relocation. The others, who were more in line with Eleanor's traditional expectations, have progressively dispersed from her social circle. Eleanor continues to make contact on occasion, albeit less frequently. Mark's father pays them visits on his own, and has come to accept responsibility for supporting his wife's controlling conduct over the years. He has begun receiving therapy himself, yet he stays married to Eleanor. Looking back on how events unfolded following that initial wig request, I'm reminded of how maintaining personal boundaries can highlight underlying concerns that might otherwise go unnoticed. What began as a quarrel over wedding decor eventually revealed troubling dynamics that required addressing. They set clear boundaries with Eleanor, including limited visits and advance warning before any interaction. For roughly 2 months, this technique worked fairly effectively. Eleanor maintained a frigid courtesy toward Lucy, and avoided making direct contact with me at the occasional group gatherings that were held. Mark maintained the boundaries they had established and stood by Lucy when his mother made passive-aggressive comments about the wedding. However, in November, the situation quickly deteriorated. Eleanor began arriving at their flat unexpectedly, frequently bearing housekeeping things they needed, or meals she had prepared. These visits typically featured compliments on Lucy's housekeeping or cooking abilities. When Mark attempted to reaffirm their boundaries regarding early notice, Eleanor claimed she was simply being a helpful mother, and accused Lucy of turning her son against her. The breaking point occurred during Thanksgiving. Lucy and Mark had decided to split their trip, spending the afternoon with his family and the evening with hers. When they got at Eleanor's house, they discovered she had invited Mark's ex-girlfriend, claiming she didn't want her to be alone during the holidays. Throughout the lunch, Eleanor made numerous favorable comparisons to Lucy, highlighting the ex's traditional feminine beauty and family-oriented ideals. Mark had finally reached his limit. According to Lucy, he stood up mid-meal, urged her to pack her belongings, and said that they were going. Before leaving, he informed his mother that her behavior was unacceptable, and that they would not communicate until she could respect his marriage and wife. They spent the rest of Thanksgiving with Lucy's family, who greeted them cordially, despite the last-minute adjustment. Mark frequently apologized to Lucy for his mother's actions, and for not setting stricter limits sooner. In the weeks that followed, Eleanor increased her efforts to contact them. She called frequently, sent long emails, and even contacted Mark's employer. When these attempts failed, she began contacting their acquaintances, including me, expressing worry for Mark's well-being, and implying that Lucy was isolating him from his family. Mark and Lucy decided to temporarily restrict Eleanor's phone number and email address. Following consultation with a family therapist, they gave his father contact information in case of an emergency, but kept their distance from Eleanor. Lucy contacted me last month to give some important news. She and Mark have decided to go to another state for a fresh start away from Eleanor's influence. Mark accepted a job offer with his company's branch office in Colorado, and they plan to relocate next month. Lucy has already acquired a remote role with her present workplace, making the transfer more manageable professionally. The decision to move was not taken lightly. They had several meetings with their therapist, exploring if moving was avoiding or treating the problem. Finally, they decided that geographical distance would provide the necessary space to build good patterns in their marriage, without continual interference. Throughout these trials, my bond with Lucy has become stronger. We have weekly video chats, and she has been more candid about her challenges and accomplishments than ever before. She recently stated that sticking up for me in the wig scenario gave her the confidence to set other important boundaries in her life. Mark and I have also built a polite friendship. He messaged me last week, thanking me for providing the catalyst that helped him see problematic patterns in his connection with his mother. He admitted that if he had insisted I wear a wig as his mother had asked, it would have created a precedent for enabling her inappropriate control over their lives to continue unabated. The other bridesmaids have had varying reactions to the current predicament. 2 are still good friends with Lucy and have been supportive of the relocation. The others, who were more in line with Eleanor's traditional expectations, have progressively dispersed from her social circle. Eleanor continues to make contact on occasion, albeit less frequently. Mark's father pays them visits on his own, and has come to accept responsibility for supporting his wife's controlling conduct over the years. He has begun receiving therapy himself, yet he stays married to Eleanor. Looking back on how events unfolded following that initial wig request, I'm reminded of how maintaining personal boundaries can highlight underlying concerns that might otherwise go unnoticed. What began as a quarrel over wedding decor eventually revealed troubling dynamics that required addressing. Lucy and Mark are arranging a housewarming party once they've established in Colorado, and I've already scheduled time off work to help them unpack. Their new home represents more than just a change of location. It represents the importance of their marriage over external pressures and expectations. I'm pleased that sticking to my own limits resulted in positive change for the individuals I care about. When people refuse to compromise on their own dignity, it can have far-reaching consequences. For anyone feeling forced to conform at the price of their identity, remember that true friends appreciate you for who you are, not how well you fit into a predetermined aesthetic. Story 2. My spouse dug through my personal records to sell the beach house I inherited. I kicked him out and filed for divorce. I, 32F, and Rob, 35M, have been married for 7 years. We have a blended family. I have a 14-year-old daughter, Lily, from a previous relationship, and Rob has 2 kids, Jack, 16, and Tom, 12. Our journey began 10 years ago, when we met at a local charity event. I was a single mother fighting to make ends meet, working 2 jobs to support Lily and me. Rob was a pleasant and successful businessman who had just divorced. He swept me off my feet with his warmth and concern for both me and Lily. Our relationship started off like a fairy tale. Rob was attentive, compassionate, and appeared to truly adore Lily as his own. He would play with her for hours, help her with her homework, and even take her to school father-daughter dances. His sons, Jack and Tom, were initially cautious of us but eventually warmed up. I remember the first time Jack called me, Mom. It was during a family camping trip, and I felt like my heart would burst. We married in a tiny ceremony on the beach 3 years after we first started dating. It wasn't always easy to integrate our families, but we worked hard at it. We started family game nights, took turns picking movies for our weekly film nights, and made sure to recognize each child's accomplishments equally. My grandmother passed away almost 2 years ago. She was more than a grandparent to me, she was my rock. My parents perished in a car accident when I was 16, so she took me in and reared me. She was there for me when I found out I was pregnant with Lily at the age of 18, and she provided emotional and financial support while I completed college. Her death affected me deeply, and I spent weeks reading through old photo albums, reminiscing about the summers we spent at her beach house. Gran surprised me by leaving me her beach cottage and her will. It's a stunning property that has been in our family for generations. I have many happy memories of spending summers there as a child. Building sandcastles with my parents, learning to swim in the ocean, and having bonfires under the stars with my high school classmates. When Lily was born, I began taking her there, where Gran would tell her stories about our family history. When we found out about the inheritance, Rob immediately began talking about selling it and using the money to establish a business he had been dreaming of. He intended to create a chain of high-end gyms, something he'd been planning for years but never had the funds to do. I hesitated. The house was quite important to me, and I wanted to maintain it in the family. I offered to rent it out during high seasons to make some money, but Rob was not interested. He insisted on selling, claiming that keeping it would be a waste of money. He contended that we could utilize the funds to ensure our future, pay for the children's college educations, and still have enough for his business enterprise. We debated it for several months. I attempted to explain the sentimental value, how much it meant to both me and Lily, but Rob was unable or unwilling to comprehend. He began making statements about how I was living in the past and needed to consider our future. Things came to a head last month when Rob revealed that he had called a real estate agent to value the house. I was infuriated. We had a major dispute, and I made it clear that I would not be selling the house. I reminded him that the house had been left to me, not us, and he had no authority to make decisions about it. He stormed out and did not return home that night. Since then, Rob's conduct has shifted considerably. He's grown cold and aloof, frequently staying late at work or going out with pals without informing me. He rarely speaks to me at home, and when he does, he usually makes disparaging remarks about the beach house or my selfishness. What's more, his attitude appears to be rubbing off on his boys. Jack, who used to be fairly close to Lily, has been making disparaging remarks about her. Last week, I overheard him tell Tom that Lily wasn't their true sister, and that they didn't have to share anything with her. It broke my heart to hear this, especially after all the work we'd done to integrate our families. Tom, on the other hand, appears perplexed and distressed by the tension in the house. He's been quiet lately, frequently withdrawing to his room to play video games rather than participating in family activities like he formerly did. Lily has also observed the shift. She asked me the other day why Rob no longer hugs her goodbye as she leaves for school. I wasn't sure what to tell her. The final straw arrived yesterday. I arrived home from work early, not feeling well, to find Rob looking through my personal paperwork at our home office. When I challenged him, he acknowledged seeking the deed to the beach house. He stated that he believed if he could find it, he could sell the property without my permission. I was astonished and hurt. I never imagined Rob would go behind my back like this. We've always been honest with one another, even when things were tough. When his business hit a hard patch a few years ago and we had to tighten our belts, we dealt with it jointly. When Lily was struggling in school and required a tutor, we made it work. I believed we were partners, but now I feel as if I don't know him at all. I instructed him to leave the house immediately. He attempted to argue, stating he was doing it for our family, but I couldn't take it anymore. He is currently staying with his brother and the boys are with him. Lily is concerned and perplexed by what is happening. She asked me if this meant Rob wasn't her father anymore, which crushed my heart. I attempted to explain that grown-ups can differ, but Rob still loves her. I am not sure she believed me though. I'm trying to stay strong for her, but I'm having trouble processing all that has happened. The seaside house, which has always had joyful memories for me, now feels polluted by the dispute. I find myself staying up late, poring through old images of my grandparents and parents at home, thinking what they would do in my circumstance. I'm not sure what to do now. Part of me wants to attempt to resolve things for the sake of our family. We've been through so much together, and the idea of breaking up our family is heartbreaking. However, another half feels that this betrayal is too great to overcome. Rob's actions have demonstrated a lack of respect for me and my feelings, which I'm not sure I can overcome. Am I overreacting? Should I sell the house to save my marriage, or is this a sign of deeper problems that we can't overcome? I'm feeling lost, and could use some outside perspective. Update 1. It's been nearly a month since my previous post, and a lot has happened. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everyone for their advice and support. Your remarks helped me gain perspective on the matter and gave me the courage to stand my stance. After Rob left, I had some time to think things over. I knew that his behavior was more than just about the beach house. It was a symptom of deeper issues in our relationship. Looking back, I noticed trends I'd missed earlier. Rob would sometimes make decisions without consulting me, believing I would agree. I remembered how he had pushed for us to relocate to a larger house a few years earlier, even though I was content where we were. At the moment, I had given in to keep the peace, but now I view it as part of a bigger problem. I chose to hold firm and not sell the property. Instead, I began researching methods to make the beach house work for us financially. I contacted a property management business about renting it out during peak seasons, and have been researching local short-term rental laws. Rob contacted me about a week after he had departed and requested to speak. We met at a neutral location, a coffee cafe in town where we used to spend date nights when we first started dating. After everything we had gone through, it felt weird to sit across from him, as if we were strangers. Rob apologized for his actions, stating that he had had time to ponder and understood he was wrong. He claimed that the stress of starting his own firm had overwhelmed him and caused him to lose sight of what was truly essential. He expressed how much he missed the kids and wanted to make things right. I listened to everything he said, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. His apology seemed scripted, and he kept directing the conversation back to the beach house and how we could reach an agreement. When I mentioned my intention to rent out the property, he quickly began discussing how we could use the proceeds for his company idea. My concerns were verified a few days later, when Lily approached me in tears. She informed me that Jack had been messaging her, promising that if she persuaded me to sell the beach property, Rob would buy her a car when she turned 16. I was infuriated. Rob was not only trying to control me, but he was also using the kids to do so. I challenged Rob about this, and he made no attempt to dispute it. He said he was doing what was best for the family, and that I was being selfish by not considering everyone's needs. That's when I realized there was no turning back from this. The man I thought I knew, the man who had been such a devoted parent to Lily, appears to have vanished. I consulted a lawyer and filed for divorce. When Rob discovered it, he was outraged. He's been spreading lies about me to our friends and family, claiming I'm attempting to keep the kids away from him, and that I've been planning to leave for months. Some of our mutual acquaintances have stopped speaking with me, and it stings to think how easily they accepted Rob's version of events. The children are grappling with the scenario. Tom doesn't quite comprehend what's going on and keeps asking when we'll all be living together again. I attempted to explain in age-appropriate terms, but it is difficult to make a 12-year-old understand such a complex subject. Jack is furious and blames me for dissolving the family. He refuses to come to the home on his weekend with me, claiming he does not want to stay in the beach house. I'm trying to be patient with him, recognizing that he's a teenager going through a lot of transitions, but it's difficult not to take his words personally. Lily is quieter than normal, but she informed me she's relieved we're not returning to Rob. She told me she was concerned with Rob's recent behavior, saying he made comments about how she wasn't truly a part of the family while I wasn't present. Hearing this crushed my heart, but it also confirmed that I was making the correct decision. I've been trying to keep things normal for the kids. We've been spending weekends at the beach house, and I can see how important it is for Lily to have this connection with her great-grandmother. We've been going through old photo albums together, and I've been telling stories about my childhood and family history. It has been a healing journey for both of us. On a lighter note, I've reconnected with several old pals, who have been quite helpful. Margaret, 33F, a buddy from college, has been extremely helpful. She has been coming over to help with the kids, bringing meals when I am too tired to cook, and simply lending an ear when I need to talk. Her support has reminded me of the value of having a solid support network outside of my marriage. The divorce proceedings are just beginning, and I know it will be a lengthy and tough process. Rob is fighting the custody arrangement, claiming that because Lily is not his biological daughter, he should not have to pay child support for her. It's hard to see him try to remove himself from the child he raised for 7 years, but I'm determined to fight for Lily's best interests. Despite the hurdles, I am relieved. For the first time in a long time, I believe I am doing what is best for both myself and Lily. I'm rediscovering aspects of myself that I let go during my marriage. I've resumed painting, which I used to enjoy but abandoned when life became too full with work and children. I know the path ahead will be difficult, but I am determined to create a bright future for myself and my daughter. I'll provide an update when there are substantial developments. Update 2. It's been 3 months since my previous update, and things have been tough to say the least. The divorce proceedings are underway, and Rob is fighting me every step of the way. He is fighting the custody arrangement, arguing that because Lily is not his biological daughter, he should not be required to pay child support for her, despite the fact that he has been her stepfather for 7 years, and has always claimed to see her as his own. The lawyer says this is a standard strategy for reducing financial commitments, but it doesn't make it any less painful. His kids, Jack and Tom, still live largely with him. Jack has become increasingly hostile to me and Lily. Last month, he declined to come for his planned weekend visit, claiming he didn't want to stay in that stupid beach house. When I tried to talk to him about it, he accused me of putting the house ahead of his family. It's evident that Rob has been feeding him his version of events, and I'm at a loss for how to dispute this narrative without involving Jack. Tom, on the other hand, appears torn. When he's here, he's cuddly, and appears to enjoy spending time with us. But the moment Rob takes him up, he withdraws. Last week he left his journal at our place, and while I didn't read it, I couldn't help but notice the word confused, in big letters on the open page. It kills my heart to see him struggle like this. Lily is struggling with the loss of her stepbrothers. She and Tom were quite close, and she misses having him around. I've attempted to make plans for them to spend time together without Rob or Jack around. But Rob always finds an excuse to cancel. Lily has been using her interests as a diversion. She joined the school drama club and has been painting on a mural in her room at the beach house. The incident escalated 2 weeks ago. It was Lily's birthday, and we arranged a small party at the beach house. Tom had agreed to visit, and Lily was eager to show him the mural she was working on. Rob called at the last minute to say he wasn't going to drop Tom off. His justification was flimsy, something about a last-minute soccer practice, and I could hear trepidation in his tone. Lily was devastated. In a fit of irritation, I called Rob and vented all of my rage and hurt. I informed him that he was being cruel and selfish by using the children as pawns in his game. I reminded him of all the times he'd promised to always be there for Lily. The father-daughter dances he'd gone to, the bedtime stories he'd told her. To my amazement, he broke down. Rob stated that he had been acting out of hurt and pride, and he was aware that he was harming his connection with the children. We had a long, honest talk for the first time in months. He admitted that he had been struggling financially. His business was not performing as well as he had led everyone to believe. Therefore, he saw the beach house as a solution to his difficulties. He also admitted to being insecure about his place in Lily's life, particularly as she became older and more independent. While I appreciate his candor, it does not remove the harm he has inflicted. We've agreed to pursue family counseling, not to reconcile, but to find a method to properly co-parent for the sake of our children. Our first session is scheduled for next week, and I am scared yet hopeful that it will help us find a way ahead. On a personal side, I've launched a modest internet business selling handmade jewelry. It's something I've always enjoyed as a hobby, and it's been a pleasant respite from the stress of my divorce. I've been using the sunroom at the beach house as a studio, and there's something relaxing about working with my hands while gazing out at the ocean. Lily has even assisted me with designing several things and maintaining our social media accounts. It's been a terrific way for us to bond while also giving her something positive to focus on. The beach cottage has been our haven. We now spend most of our weekends there, and I can see how much better Lily is doing. She's becoming more candid, discussing her emotions and anxieties about the future. Last weekend, as we were on the beach watching the sunset, she told me how proud she was of me for sticking up for myself. It meant more to me than words can explain. I realize we have a long road ahead of us, but I'm cautiously optimistic. If nothing else, this experience has taught me how strong Lily and I can be together. Whatever happens with Rob and the boys, I'm confident we'll be okay. Update 3. It has been 6 months since my last update, and I am pleased to say that things have finally begun to normalize. The divorce was finalized last month. In the end, Rob and I reached a deal without going to court. He's agreed that the beach house will remain mine, and we've negotiated a reasonable parenting arrangement for all 3 children. It wasn't easy, and there were moments when I felt we'd never reach an agreement. But the family counseling sessions were quite beneficial. Speaking of family counseling, it's been quite beneficial. Dr. Anderson, our therapist, has given us tools to help us speak more effectively and work through our challenges. It has provided us with a secure forum to express our frustrations, and establish common ground. Jack was initially resistant, rolling his eyes and responding in one word, but he's gradually warming up. In our most recent session, he apologized to Lily for his behavior over the previous year. It was a watershed moment, and I could see Lily's relief on her face. Tom has thrived under the new system. He divides his time equally between Rob's house and the beach house, and he appears happier and more relaxed than I have seen him in years. He joined a local surf club and spends hours in the ocean when he visits the beach house. It is lovely to see him discover his own interest. Lily has been incredibly resilient during this journey. She has really come into her own in the last 2 months. Her membership in the school theater club has given her more confidence, and she recently got the main role in the school play. She's met several new people through the club, and they frequently come to stay at the beach house on weekends. It's great to see her laughing and enjoying life again. My jewelry business has really taken off. What began as a distraction has evolved into a thriving small business. I've even been asked by a few local retailers to stock my items. Lily enjoys helping out, so we've converted the sunroom at the beach house into a full-fledged workshop. It's become a great bonding experience for us, working side by side and discussing our days. Rob and I are on good terms now. We aren't buddies, but we can have courteous chats about the kids without getting into an argument. He created his own business, a little landscaping company, which seemed to be doing well. He has been more constant with his time with the children, which has greatly improved their connections. Last weekend we held a large family supper at the beach house. All 3 children, Rob, and even my friend Margaret attended. It wasn't perfect, there were a few awkward moments. But it was refreshing to see everyone together without stress. We even got to giggle about some old family stories. It felt like a window into what our future might be like. Different from what I had anticipated, but not necessarily worse. I will not pretend that everything has been easy. There are still days when I'm overwhelmed or question my decisions. The divorce's legal bills have been a drag, and I'm still adjusting to doing everything on my own. But then I see Lily, how she's grown and how close we've gotten. And I know I made the right decision. The beach home, which was once a source of great contention, has now become a symbol of our resilience and future. It is more than just a piece of property. It's a house, full of new memories and beginnings. We've started a Friday night bonfire tradition on the beach, where we roast marshmallows and share stories. Last Monday, Jack voluntarily joined us for the first time. As I sit here on the porch, watching the sun set over the water, I get a sense of tranquility that I haven't had in years. The path forward isn't always apparent, and I'm confident we'll confront additional hurdles. But I am no longer frightened to confront them. Thanks for watching and diving into this wild family drama with me. If you love Reddit family drama, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.